Are you kidding me? That's the word you're afraid to say? Ninja? Welcome to my dojo. This is KungFuPizzaPrty, and I'm your host, Brandon Knight. And today I am here to review Ninja Assassin, starring Rain. Here on KungFuPizzaPrty, I seek to deliver high-flying action in 30 minutes or less and serve up some wisdom one slice at a time. Before we get into today's review, let's do a bit of a programming update. My house got clipped by a tornado. We're fine. We're safe. The house is actually, all things considered, in good condition. We lost a very big tree in our front yard, but otherwise we are good. Our community, our neighborhood is good. A lot of power outages, which is why that's why I missed a bunch of episodes. We had a widespread power outage, but no reported deaths or major injuries resulted from the tornado. With all of that in mind, and the fact that I had to cancel and I'm actively rescheduling a few specials. What am I trying to say? Episodes with people. I was trying to record guests. That's the word. I'm not good at words. Really bad thing to be bad at if you're having a podcast is forgetting words. I had to reschedule with a bunch of guests who I was going to have on the show here at the right around the end of June. And first week of July is, of course, Chuck Norris Week, the celebration of the ultimate apex predator. Yes, we're still doing it, and I'm still doing it to coincide with Shark Week. We're doing it in July, folks. So with that coming up and just like the hodgepodge that is the rest of the month of June, there may be some days in the near future where you're going to be getting double episodes. I know, you're so bummed. You have to listen to me twice in one day. But I just want to try and keep up with what I have planned for this month. Sometimes when stuff comes up, I'm like, okay, I can move it here, I can move it there. But a lot of the things I wanted to cover this month, I'm like, no, I still want to try and get it done. So you may be getting a couple double episodes here on Fridays or on Tuesdays as well. So just so you know, and if you are like, dude, I'm just here for the Ninja Assassin part, can you just get on with it now? Sure, let's talk about Ninja Assassin. It probably has everything to do with my age, but movies that came out between 2007 and 2012 are some of my favorite. I love that time period. I was in middle school and high school during that time period. Sorry to make some of you feel old, but probably very few of you at this point now. But when I think back of like, oh man, great action movies, or just, I mean, like, I was the key demo, you know, especially for like the birth of the MCU takes place during this time period, right? Like I was in that key demo age group of like people getting into the MCU. And this is still during the heyday when places like Walmart, or here in the Midwest, we have Meijer, would have like bins of DVDs for like $5, and it was nothing good. But I just look back at this like 2007 to 2012 5-year time period of just like so many fun B movies, just like great action movies. And again, it's my age, it's nostalgia, and they didn't do well. The Spirit, The A-Team, Priest, The Warrior's Way, none of these movies did well. I'll die. I will be the only person in history that ever liked the movie Sucker Punch. I've never met anybody who likes that movie. You're going to have to listen to me talk about it at some point, though. And in the midst of all of this like time period is, of course, Ninja Assassin, which falls in perfectly with this whole, is it good? Probably not. A lot of people will tell you no, but man, for the nostalgia of the time period, I do really like this movie. And actually, given the opportunity to like hey, Brandon, we need you to host a movie event, double feature, all grown-ups, what are you putting on? Ninja Assassin followed by The Warrior's Way. I think these two pair very nicely with each other. Commercially, Ninja Assassin did fine for itself. It had an estimated $30 million budget and grossed a little over $60 million in the box office. But 2009 was a pretty hard year to compete in movies, there's a pretty big movie that came out in 2009. Do you remember what it is? Think for a second. That's right. The Human Centipede, the first sequence. Also Avatar. Avatar came out in 2009 and, destroyed everybody in the box office. I'm sure this is true of every year in film, but 2009 is this year marked by like the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. For every Avatar and The Hangover, there's a Human Centipede and Street Fighter, The Legend of Kung Lee. Like, it's just, it can get pretty bad that year. And Ninja Assassin kind of falls somewhere in the middle of all of this. Critically, it was not received very well whatsoever, and still to this day maintains a 25% freshness on Rotten Tomatoes. And I looked at some of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes to kind of see like what people are saying that why they don't like this movie. And I want to go through some of these because it covers some of the movie beats as well. So one of the big complaints about Ninja Assassin is that it's not original. It's just another mindless action film with the same story beats, the same progression, blah, blah, blah. It's nothing special, nothing original. And here's what I have to say to that review. Your review's not original. Here's the thing, folks. At the end of the day, B action films are just not for the sophisticated Rotten Tomato reviewer. It's just not. They're just not. They're not. If you're like a high concept film bro, swear by Martin Scorsese and Tarantino and Nolan and all those guys, like if your whole identity is this, if your favorite movie's Fight Club, like you're B action films they're just not for you. If you're trying to establish yourself as like some movie guru person, and that's fine. Not everything has to be for everybody, but also like be more original in your critique other than it's just not original. Yeah. You know how many years we've been telling stories? Like thousands of years of telling stories. We've kind of run out of originality a while ago. That being said, I do think there is actually some points of this movie that is original, or at least I found them original, just some like storyline beat stuff that I'll get into here in a moment. Another negative comment was that the fight choreography is nothing special. It's just not that interesting. And agree to disagree. I this might just be a good old fashioned to each their own. This movie relies very heavily on weapons. Not as much hand-to-hand combat as it is weapon combat. Our lead here, Rain, who plays our protagonist, Reizo, he is typically using 2 katanas in combat, or he's got one of those. I've always heard that they're called fire whips. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a chain with a blade at the end of it, and he's whipping it around. It is one of the coolest weapons I've ever seen. I love fire chains. Fire whips. I apologize if that's not the technical term for it. Kind of like how nunchucks are actually nunchaku. But it's so cool. It takes so much like coordination to use like a weapon like that, and I would be so terrified to just like lob off every part of my body if I was ever training with it. I'd love to. There's a creator I've seen frequently on Instagram. I can't think of the guy's name now, but like his whole thing is that's the kind of weapon he's trained in, and he does like different objects at the end of the chain to like experiment with like hitting different targets and whatnot. So it's a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun combat. That being said, one of the comments that is negative that I think is kind of fair is that the lot of the fight scenes are shot in the dark, or there'll be prolonged fight sequences in the dark. And I'll be Grandpa Simpson for a moment, which was the style at the time. That was like a big thing there during the 2007 to 2012, and even still to this day. And honestly, not trying to defend it whatsoever. I don't like it. It's this whole like we're trying to conceal the fact that like stuntmen are being used. We're trying to protect our star. And so there are sequences. It's also, for this movie at least, and I'm sure there's other examples, it is supposed to be, though, somewhat of a storytelling device. This movie is in no way, shape, or form like actually how ninjas work. We got a little magic, we got a little mysticism going on here with our ninjas, and so these like in the dark sequences are the ninjas almost like teleporting through shadows. They're not really teleporting, but it's like this super fast, almost like Scorpion or Sub-Zero like phasing thing through shadows to like attack people. So it's supposed to give this illusion of like super fast ninjas work in the shadows, the whole bit. A lot of the fight sequences, this movie is a straight up action film, but a lot of the action sequences do borrow very heavily from the horror genre, I think, at least. Like there are parts of this movie that feels very horror, especially the cold open. When you're first introduced to Reizo, oh my gosh, it's like a scene out of the Brandon Lee Crow movie. Like it's brutal. It's a brutal opening. So I think it's for storytelling purposes why there's so many of these fights that are shot in the dark. Like I said, though, from what you do get to see, I really enjoy the combat in this movie. There's even one where Reizo is going up against the main antagonist at the end of the movie for the final showdown. And they're fighting behind one of those sliding doors that you see in Japan, and they're doing swords. They're like katana fighting. But so you see their shadow outline on the door, you don't see them, and then you see blood splatter going up against the door, and I love it. I think it's a great visual. The last comment I saw frequently that I'll address here is that this movie doesn't explain the rules of the universe very well. And I disagree with that, except for one very important thing. There is one thing that they do not explain well. And so that I will agree with. But otherwise, I think the movie explains everything, I think, very clearly. For hundreds of years now, there has been a secret clan of ninjas who kidnap orphan children, train them to be assassins, and then when they're ready, other people can hire these ninjas out to do assassinations for the price of 100 pounds of gold. Whatever is the equivalent cost of 100 pounds of gold is how much it costs to rent a ninja to do their assassination. That all is very clearly explained and is reiterated at different points throughout the movie. The part that I was like, okay, this part you're not explaining very well is, again, this leans a little bit towards pop culture, magic, mysticism, ninjas. So sometimes the ninjas can move super fast, okay? Which is definitely something you see in pop culture. Like the ninjas can move super fast, right? But they don't do it consistently. When they're like attacking someone, yes. And it's fine, except for that final showdown between Reizo and the guy who was actually the lord of the ninja clan that you can rent an assassin, like Rent-A-Center, but ninjas. The guy is like fighting, and it looks like he kills somebody that Reizo has been working with, and then all of a sudden now, Reizo, who's done it before several times in the movie, starts doing the super fast running thing to defeat the Lord in anger, and it is one of those things of like, okay, but why didn't you just do that from the get-go? Why? And I get it for plot purposes, but you have to explain why. And it doesn't have to be a complicated explanation either. The more I thought about it, I was like, oh, this could be just like a very simple, like, we'll lean into the magic and the mysticism a little bit and maybe just do like every time a ninja does that, it ages them, and they're like rapidly aging every time they do. I stole that from The Flash. Jay Garrick like gets old every time he runs. Or maybe it's like every time they run, somebody that they know dies or something like that. Or just even simpler. In combat, if a ninja has to face off against another ninja, it is dishonorable to use your ninja superpowers. Just something like that, just like a little throwaway explanation, just a little line, just to buff out the movie a bit. Like, I think that solves it really easily. But again, that's nowhere to be seen. The cast and crew for this movie is actually pretty impressive, and I want to start with the crew. I don't usually spend a lot of time with the crew, but let's talk about the crew here for a bit. So the director on Ninja Assassin is James McTeague, who is also known for The Raven, starring John Cusack, and one of my all-time favorite movies, V for Vendetta. And speaking of V for Vendetta, the executive producers on that movie and also Ninja Assassin are the Wachowskis of The Matrix fame. Finally, comic book fans and fans of Babylon 5 will rejoice because the story was written by J. Michael Straczynski. So you have quite the geeky brain power being put into this film. Cast-wise, there's a couple people worth noting. I've already brought up our main here, Rain. Rain is the most famous, successful K-pop star of all time. He's the big guy. He's the final boss of the K-pop era. And keep in mind, it's 2009. So not only does this movie significantly predate K-pop Demon Hunters, but it also predates the popularity of BTS here in the States and even Gangnam Style. So, look, maybe it's giving Ninja Assassin too much credit, but this is like the pre-runner. This is the precursor. He walked, so K-pop Demon Hunters could run in a way. Like, I first learned about this movie and this character from a girl who was, I went to school with. She was a foreign exchange student from South Korea, and she was a huge fan of this guy, major crush on Rain. And that's how I learned about him and learned a little bit. That was like my first exposure to K-pop, and that was 2007, 2008, something like that. So, yeah, like, I do think maybe it's too much to say that Ninja Assassin helps pave the way for K-pop Demon Hunters. I will say this, though. If this movie was to come out now, the results would be much different. Speaking of V for Vendetta, Ben Miles is in this movie, who is a regular... somebody who regularly works with the Wachowskis. He was in V for Vendetta. He was in obviously Ninja Assassin. He was also in their film Speed Racer, which comes out in between both movies. Finally, we have Naomi Harris, who is most known for playing Moneypenny in Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. But along with being a early 2000s underappreciated action film, one of the big reasons why I would pair Ninja Assassin with The Warrior's Way is because both movies are they get so deep, but it's completely forgotten about or overlooked because, the fight scenes are shot in the dark. The Warrior's Way is just trying to do the Zack Snyder oversaturated surrealism look, which honestly Ninja Assassin could have used a little bit more of that in this movie. Just really lean into the vibes there, guys. But there's some really good messaging in this movie that just completely gets forgotten about or overlooked because it's not original, because it's an okay movie. It's a fine film. I mean, like I said at the beginning, so the assassins in this ninja clan were originally orphans who are kidnapped. and then physically and emotionally abused, manipulated, gaslighted, whatever. They're abused in order to become these like emotionless, soulless killing machines. Like it's tackling such a dark, heavy subject. The evils of the abuse of power by authority figures, toxic masculinity, putting messages of like weakness is, evil, and you have to root out all your weaknesses in order to be this strong, perfect person. There's even, as we're in the flashback, seeing Rezo be trained as one of these assassins, and honestly, kind of sucking at it. Like he really has to beat it out of him, honestly, to get him to conform. But there's also this girl. They're both teenagers, so she kind of serves as Rezo's love interest. And like she's going through the training as well, but is essentially like she tries to leave. She tries to rebel and to leave, and it's this like she tries to get Rezo to come with, and he's like, "No, my place is here." And he has a chance at one point to save her, and he like doesn't. He cowers, and like it's such a powerful message of like you're in the machine, you're in, I don't want to say the Matrix because that's like a whole manosphere thing. Buckle up, that conversation's coming soon. But you're a part of the system of abuse, and in a system that is taking advantage of you, and there's the people who conform and go along with it basically out of self-preservation, or or because they buy into the ideology. And then there's the people who try to get out. There's the people who try to get out of the system and try to rebel against it and see a better life and try to reach for it, and it gets snuffed out. Like it's a look. Is the line delivery great? Is the dialogue super engaging? Can you see every moment of the combat? Is the combat the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life? No, it's not. And I guess if it matters that much to you, yeah, take a pass. But like to me, I think you're really missing out on a movie that was trying to do something, was trying to actually be more than just another mindless action film, a movie that was trying to have some weight, some messaging behind it. And if you look at, again, the crew behind the movie, that's not surprising. All of the individuals I mentioned have worked on and continue to work on projects that like dive into deeper subjects. Speed Racer, for all the hate Speed Racer gets, then it seems to be one of these, like now it's kind of getting like a bit of a cult classic treatment. Like it's this anti-capitalism movie. V for Vendetta is a pro-anarchy story. Like you have these nerds getting together to tell a story that's fun, that's got some good action in it. It's a little bit creative, I think, but also is like a whole commentary on abusive systems of power, like V for Vendetta, a whole systems of abusive power. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice by just writing off Ninja Assassin as just another cheaply made, not that good 2000s film. But that's just me. Would I watch Ninja Assassin again? Obviously. Clearly, by this point, I hope that's obvious. Would I buy a physical media copy of this movie? I actually bought one for this review. I bought it to do this episode, and here's why. Ninja Assassin is one of those movies that just bounces all over the place on streaming. For a while, it was on Tubi, very easily accessible. And if it was on Tubi, chances are it was also on Roku and Pluto TV and all the other free streaming apps. Then, this is a Warner Brothers movie, so for a while, it was on HBO Max, and that was it. Or whatever that thing's called while you're listening to today's episode. right now, as I was getting ready to do this episode, it is only available buy or rent on, like, you know, Amazon, YouTube, places like that. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. I've talked about this here on the show before. When a movie just like bounces around all over the place, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. I'm just going to own it just to make my life simpler. Just going to keep that one here at the house with me. So that's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening to today's review. And like I said, buckle up. There may be a bunch more episodes coming out throughout the rest of June, just to try and get caught up a little bit. If you haven't yet already, please rate and review this show wherever you get your podcast. Pass this episode along to a friend. And check out the other great shows here on the Anazao Ministries podcast network, like Page and Pixel, Systematic Geekology, and my sister show, My Seminary Life. You can follow the show on Instagram at KungFuPizzaPrty, on Letterboxd, KungFuPizzaPrty, and you can also check out my YouTube channel, Studio 219, a place for faith and pop culture. This has been Kung Fu Pizza Party, where I've delivered high-flying action in 30 minutes or less and served up some wisdom one slice at a